there was a primary last night with some interesting races going on, but one of the things that was put on the ballot directly in Kansas was a ballot measure that would have removed the right to an abortion for women in Kansas. And so the idea was primaries are often participated in much less than general, pretty obvious. And so I think the strategy from Republican politicians in Kansas was to put it in a race where people wouldn't really be paying attention on the ballot to pass this anti-abortion amendment and make it no longer a right for women to have an abortion in Kansas, and open up the state legislature to being able to pass laws to restrict women's ability to do so. And so Kansas is a red state. Now, it was brought up by my audience last night that they have kind of a track record of going in different directions on issues like this. So it's not maybe completely inconceivable, but still pretty shocking that in a red state that Donald Trump won, they ended up 59% of the voters in Kansas, and massive turnout, which is not common in primaries, voted to keep women's right to an abortion enshrined in the Kansas Constitution. I mean, unbelievable. And it signals what we might see coming up in the November midterms, where people care about this issue more than I think anyone expected. And the sentiment goes towards the pro-choice direction. I mean, look at this. In Kansas, 59% of the voters said, no, we want to keep the right to an abortion in our Constitution, and massive turnout was sparked due to this being on the ballot. So let's quickly read a little bit about it. In a reliably conservative state, a state where then President Donald Trump won in 2020 by 15 points over Joe Biden, an amendment that would deny women the right to an abortion under the state constitution was soundly defeated on Tuesday, delivering a striking victory to supporters of abortion access. The results in Kansas delivered an electric shock to conventional wisdom about the midterms and signaled abortion rights could be front and center as voters head to the polls in November. The value of them both amendment that appeared on the August 2nd Kansas primary ballot would have removed the state constitutional right to an abortion in Kansas, paving the way for Republican lawmakers to pass legislation that could further restrict or even ban abortion in the state. It was the first time abortion rights were directly on the ballot since the Supreme Court overturned the landmark abortion law Roe v. Wade, leaving it up to states whether abortion would remain legal. Here we go. In the end, 59% of Kansas voters cast a ballot to keep the right to an abortion constitutionally protected in the state, according to the preliminary results from the Secretary of State's office. Only 41% voted to remove the constitutional protection. While analysis of who showed up is underway, putting abortion on the ballot in Kansas resulted in a massive turnout of voters, exceeding any other Kansas primary. The numbers were closely resembled that of a presidential election. According to unofficial results, more than 908,000 people voted in the primary on the issue. Tens of thousands of people who weighed in on the amendment didn't even vote for other statewide offices or in congressional primaries. A little bit more, this is so fascinating. Recent turnout in midterm and presidential primaries in the state have hovered around the 20 to 35% range. Turnout on Tuesday appeared to be closer to 50%. By comparison, only 457,598 voted in the 2018 midterm primary. So the 2018 midterms, only, 457,000 voters voted in the primary. When this is on the ballot, over 900,000 people voted in their primary. And people were going in and just voting on that issue and not voting for any of the, candidates that were actually running, which is unbelievable and so amazing. So what does this show us? This shows us that people even in traditionally red states or recently red states vote en masse on the issue of abortion. And America, as we've seen with polling, but this is now being borne out in the way people actually are motivated to vote, are pro-choice, and people are willing to go out and make their voice heard on that issue. So great news. I think this gives me a lot more hope about the midterms, and part of the reason we're seeing a huge shift in polling towards the Democrats' direction ever since the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I think this is going to do a lot of damage to Republicans and might be one of the reasons that even though Joe Biden's so unpopular, even though all of these issues are hitting the Democrats, they may still be able to hold on to the House and Senate, and that would be unprecedented. I mean, rarely does the party who won the presidency go on to do well in the following midterms. But at least watching Kansas, which is again, Donald Trump won, going 60% in the direction of abortion rights, we may have a better midterm than we thought.